it's clear to me that Elon Musk is.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being part of the show. We are going to have a great show. My God, my God, my God. There's so much happening. There's so much happening. So much work to do. Woo! I'm tired. Got in just a minute late today. Anyhow, welcome aboard. We got Patrick Magner from Houston, Texas. Meow, he says. We also have Michael Rudnin from Brooklyn, New York, who's here. Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you so kindly for being here, our beautiful Yvette. We also have in the house with us Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas. Eric Hayes from Atascocita. Kingwood Joe from Los Angeles, California. And we have more coming in as we speak. And welcome to all our folks on Substack, Instagram, TikTok, what's the other one? Telegram. I got to check the Telegram connection and a few others. Anyway, on Twitch, of course. Anyway, how are my peeps doing? I trust you're all doing fine. Let's go ahead and start reading. We got Michael says, Egberto, meme for the screen. Trump calling himself a king should raise all sorts of alarms as he aims to dismantle government, trash states' rights when, oh, yeah, I know. King Trump. Let's welcome King Trump. There he is as he burns his kingdom, right? King Trump. I love that. I love what that connotates. He's burning his kingdom. That just speaks to one who is a psychopath, one who is nutso. Good catch, Michael. Good catch, Michael. All right, let's continue the show. We got Michael said, Politico dethroning King Trump's congestion pricing decree. Speaking from Grand Central Station, Governor Kathy Hochul railed against Trump, whom said was waging an attack against our sovereign identity. They only like states' right when they like states' rights, right? The fiery press conference came hours after Trump posted a statement celebrating the toll's ordered removal on Truth Social. Congestion pricing is dead. Manhattan and all New York is saved. Long live the king. You know, let me say something about that. Here, the federal government gives authorization, and New York invests millions of dollars to put this system together, and then we have King Trump want to say, oh, nope, you can't do it anymore. Oh, that's going to be thrown out of court so fast it ain't funny. Governor Hochul and the MTA responded by quickly filing a lawsuit that aims to thwart Trump's order and affirm the Biden administration approval of the plan. And Hochul vowed today to keep the tolling cameras running until a judge says otherwise. Governor Hochul said to cheers from the crowd, I'm here to say New York hasn't labored under a king in over 250 years. We will not do it again, pretty much is what she's saying. Michael also says, Joshua Reed, equal president of Project Liberal, posted on X. Steve Bannon, after calling for Trump to be president for life, did a Nazi salute on stage at CPAC. Nazism has officially taken over the GOP. The few remaining conservatives have a choice either to leave the party and obstruct it or choose it to be complicit. Well, I mean, when you have the vice president going over to Germany and work and meeting with the ADF, I remember what they're called, that the party, when he's telling them there is a firewall that says all other parties will get together to ensure that the right-wing party will never, ever, 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 the Nazi party that is, become a reality to govern Germany. And what did our vice president go out there and say? Nope, that needs to go away. And then he meets with them. Nazi. They are not hiding it from the salute that we got from Bannon, as Michael Rudden just pointed out, to the salute we got, the Nazi salute we got from Musk. We got to get real. These guys are Nazis. We said we don't want to use Nazi for everything, but these guys are bona fide Nazi sympathizers, and they believe in the same type of policies that these guys want. All right, let's see what else we got here. Egberto, do you have a minute to play this YouTube short? I hope it's not anything copyrighted. Let me see. Oh, yeah, I can play that. I can play that. Let me go ahead and put it on the screen. I think actually the person who did it wouldn't mind us playing it at all. So let's go ahead. Bear with me a second as I prepare it. Let me stop it first and see if I can get it started from the beginning. All right, and I'll put that on the screen for you, my dear brother Rudnin. Let's get to the screen. Let's see if I can get that going now. Okay, I am going to get that going now. I probably have to look for where. Oh, there you go.
Say I was shocked. That's
Let's do it
right, baby.
again.
That's wow. They did it again. I wish I could say I was shocked. That's right, baby. That's Steve Bannon on stage at CPAC this year, doing a Hitler salute. What's our excuse gonna be this time, guys? Maybe he's just like Elon. Maybe it's out of solidarity. Maybe he also has autism, or was throwing his heart to the audience or something. Milo, you're just taking him out of context. You gotta watch the full video.
Fight, fight, fight! Amen!
Amen? You got the balls to do that and say amen? If I were you, Steve Bannon, I'd save your breath with the amens. I have a hunch it's a little too late for you. Milo, I didn't subscribe to you for this. Get back to your normal content. You know, I don't want to say anything about this because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I don't give a shit if you're a baker, a gardener, or an Instagram model. When you see shit like this, you have an obligation to say something about it. I'm not going to sit here and just be complacent while this happens because as far as I'm concerned, that may as well be an endorsement. If me changing my regularly scheduled programming to call out Nazis hurts your little snowflake feelings, you can get the fuck off my page. Wow.
And I agree with him wholeheartedly. If you can't look, let me tell you, silence is complicity. Let me repeat that. Silence is complicity. And that is what we must get away from. Complicity. Michael Rudnin, good one. Good one, good one. Lee the Bearcat says, Jasmine Crockett decries Doge dividend idea. I don't know what $5,000 will do for you. She's absolutely right. Because that $5,000, to give you that $5,000, once you give the tax cuts that bribe is going to be used for, you are going to spend much more than $5,000. And I do have a piece on that as well, folks. All right, let's see what else we got here. Joe, hello from Los Angeles, California. Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas. We also have Bruce Bennett has says, as his approval drops, he offers a stimulus check of some kind. Sup with that. I got a piece on that, but remember what I said yesterday. The bribe works like this. If he can force the Republicans to put that, Johnson is kind of raising the red flag here. But if he gets Johnson to put that in there, he's then going to dare Democrats and recalcitrant Republicans not to pass a bill and then go ahead and say, we were trying to give you relief, $5,000 relief, and they didn't pass it. That's it. That's the game. That's the game he's playing, and that's why it is incumbent on us to smarten people up, to make them more intelligent as they listen to programs like Politics Done Right. Okay, Bridge MCP is in the house. Hello, Bridge. How are you doing today? We also have in the house Eric Hayes. We also from Atascocita, Bruce Pollard from Kingwood, Texas says, I'm here. Bruce Bennett, where are you from, my brother Bruce? And by the way, are you the Bruce that calls me in the mornings as well? If that's the case, welcome to our 3 o'clock show. We also have in the house, para ver si puedo encontrar la gente. If I missed you in your town, just forgive me. Let's see, comes about 11:20 each. What is Bridge talking about? I'll have to figure that out later on. Maywood says, "Good afternoon, everyone. I hope this is the live show." Yes, Maywood, this one is the live show. And by the way, Bridge, I gave you a mention on the show this morning, not by name, but by some of the stuff we discussed yesterday. That was that part that was open to the public. All right, let's continue here. Let's do this. Let me go ahead and start with, since you guys brought up the $5,000, what I want to do is bring up the $5,000 as well. Because guess what? Trump thinks, and hear me out, Trump thinks you don't have that much upstairs. Remember that. That is what he thinks about you. And what we have to do is, for those who are gullible to just because it comes from Trump, accept it. What we have to do is be ready to lay it out. So let's go ahead and do that right this minute. And, my MAGA brothers and sisters, get with the program. Doge is failing to come up with any kind of numbers that would really show a whole bunch of fraud or efficiency or anything like that. But Donald Trump is starting to realize he's in trouble. So he's trying to buy time by promising Americans that, hey, we're going to give you $5,000 each household. And how are we going to do that? With the savings that we got from Doge. 20% is going to go to the American people. 20% is going to go to pay the debt. Of course, we don't know what happens to the next 60%, like the tax cuts. But here's the reality. The amount of money they're finding is chump change. Less than a half a cup of coffee at Starbucks per person in the United States. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
There's even under consideration a new concept where we give 20% of the Doge savings to American citizens and 20% goes to paying down debt.
I am sitting here frantically writing down these numbers because they don't add up to me. It is time for money power politics. Donald Trump and Elon Musk have both floated this idea of giving Doge dividend checks to taxpayers using the money saved from its cost-cutting efforts. But a senior fellow at the conservative Manhattan Institute tells the Washington Post Doge has reduced spending by $4 billion at most, far, far, far from Musk's $2 trillion goal. As she puts it, quote, the American people could possibly take their dividend to Starbucks for half off of one cup of coffee. Justin, explain this math to me. The Musk plan is to cut $2 trillion in federal spending, okay? The Trump team says it's going to deliver $5,000 per household. All of that's happening while Republicans are trying to pass a new budget that increases spending by $300 billion, and they want to have massive tax cuts for corporations. How is this possible?
This is what happens when a numeracy hits ambition. So just before coming on the show, I went to the Doge website where they show line by line every one of their savings. It adds up to $7.3 billion, which sounds like a lot, but remember there are 340 million Americans. So far, Doge's savings add up to $21.47 per American. The president is proposing that 20% of the money Doge saves goes out as a dividend check. So, Stephanie, you and each of your viewers is going to get $4.29 in a Doge dividend. And this is what happens when you don't understand that you're looking in the wrong places for the big money.
Okay, but Brian, even if they found a ton of money to cut, right? Even if the money to the American people was a lot more than $5,000, here's what I don't understand. The point of Doge is to pay down our debt, right? We currently have $36 trillion in debt in this country. And the fact that they would be willing, theoretically, to take 20% of the Doge savings and send it out to the American people as checks, isn't that just one big political hustle? Because Donald Trump knows how popular it was when those stimulus checks with his name on it got sent around. And we should remind our audience those stimulus checks were approved not via executive order. Congress did it.
It is. And I think it speaks to, I'll leave the economics of it to Justin, but it seems like so much of this is for show, and so much of it is PR, and so much of it is just making it seem like you're doing something. And let's remember too, a lot of the savings that they are showing and they're emphasizing, that's just thousands of federal workers who are out of a job now for no reason other than that they had just started their job within the last 2 years or just gotten promoted recently. It's built on the backs of massive layoffs of people who are working on bettering Americans' position in science, in humanitarian aid, and protecting people from fraud. If you were really serious about paying down the deficit, you probably wouldn't fire thousands of IRS workers whose job is to increase revenue. That's why they are there. So all of this seems deeply cynical and sort of speaks to the larger emptiness of the whole DOGE project.
A reminder, I just told our audience last night when the Inflation Reduction Act designated additional money to the IRS, what did that result in? The IRS bringing in more money from taxpayers. Justin, I want to get your take also on Trump's newly confirmed Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, telling Fox News that his goal is to abolish the IRS completely. And where are we going to find the money? Well, massive tariffs. The rest of them will pay for us.
Well, the problem with that is it's quite simply impossible. The amount of money that we have that we could tax for a tariff is the amount of imports. That's only $3 trillion. When we tax income, we've got $20 trillion to tax. So if you're trying to tax from such a small pool, there's not that much you can get. You can't fund the modern US government purely with tariffs. It's one, literally mathematically impossible, and two, incredibly bad for the working and middle class Americans. But by jingo, it's a huge tax break to the rich.
The new acting head of Social Security made an announcement today after Elon Musk and Donald Trump claimed that millions of dead Americans were receiving Social Security benefits. Well, the new guy overseeing Social Security said that's not really happening. So there you go. Fact check from their own team. The worry is that lie has already made it around the world multiple times. So we'll have to tell the truth every night.
So once again, Donald Trump is making the assumption that the people who follow him do not have a whole lot of stairs, will not do any research, are not all that smart, that they can sit back and believe, one, that he cares about them, two, that he's going to give them some sort of check like we did during the pandemic, and three, that somehow doing all of this, he'll be able to give tax cuts and at the same time let the budget deficit fall. It's impossible. The guy's a charlatan just trying to buy time right now, and we need to call him out for it. And those of you MAGA folks that are following this guy is taking us down the drain. Again, it's you who are the pawns in his game. He doesn't give a hoot about you. So yeah, let's remember, he doesn't give a hoot about you. And for all of those who are gullible enough to believe that, I hope Politics Done Right over time, including the trolls that come here over time, that you will actually get it, that you are but a pawn in his game. You are a slave to his, as far as he's concerned, you are his slave. You know why you are his slave and we are not? Because we're not buying it. But you're like that guy that goes into the house and say, "Massa, guess what those slaves are doing? You're a slave too, right? You, Massa? Look at what those slaves are doing instead of working for your freedom." But anyway, we've got some powerful folks in here. Bruce Bennett is from Nueva York, Champlain, Nueva York. Welcome, Bruce Bennett from Champlain, New York. We also have Patrick saying, "Dodge math, 8 billion. Oops, I mean 8 million. Same thing." These guys are liars and people just take it. Let's see, Patrick, I will take your 5K if you don't want it. What did you do with your COVID money? You know what? It's so funny. These are the same guys that want to say that people are getting, look, those of you, first of all, $5,000 for me now would be great. If they're going to give the $5,000 out, I would take the $5,000, of course. I would take it because one person not taking the $5,000 does not stop the policy. But if you were to ask me, do I want the $5,000 or do I want solid policy? I would say, let's have solid policy, because I would make from solid policy $5,000 many times over. That is the difference between critical thinking and following the masses. Following whatever it is that you call following there's a word that's used for it. Critical thinking dictates that you do things differently. And unfortunately, too many of us are unable or unwilling to think critically when we're talking about our tribe, when we're talking about our ideology. And again, that doesn't only hurt you, it hurts the country at large. And to put it as best as I can, I think you should be ashamed of yourself. When we have, and this, I don't normally talk about what some of the silly things are there, right? But when we look at Eric, who always talk about financial responsibility and all that crap when he's talking, and now that Trump says, okay, I'm going to give away $5,000, he's saying, well, if you don't want it, give it to me. It just shows you the hypocrisy, the lack of critical thinking, the idiocy, and the deceptive manner in which one's minds operate. That's all you can possibly say. And I could use some other words, but I am kind to even the folks that don't want to get their minds straight, right? All right. What else have we got here? Let's see. Michael said Eric's bought Trump's lies, hook, line, and... No, he hasn't bought it. He's a slave to it. There's a difference. He knows better. He can count, but he's a slave to Trump. Understand the difference, folks. He is a slave, a willing slave to Trump. And those are the people that keep Trump afloat. And as soon as he's challenged, like he was challenged by the governor of Maine, man, they pretty much, capitulate. I want you to listen to what happened earlier today with the governor of Maine. Governor Janet Mills, governor of Maine, she put Donald Trump in his place. Donald Trump is accustomed to simply speaking and folks just listening and completely abiding by what he has to say, or simply be quiet. And that happens specifically to men. Men show how wimpy they are in not confronting Donald Trump, in not speaking out against Donald Trump. They are a bunch of wusses. Most of the men on the Republican side are wusses. They know what Donald Trump is doing is hurting their communities, hurting their people, and they just take it. Most of the folks that we see standing up happen to be women constantly. Yes, we have men doing a little something now, but the women have been steadfast for him. Of course, the election, well, that's another story that we need to speak about another time, because that is a particular demographic. But here is the deal. This great woman, Janet Mills, when the president threatened her, she just said, no, I'm not listening to you, bum. I'll just see you in court. And then he continues to threaten her. And as far as she's concerned, blah, I don't give a damn what you say, Mr. President. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Maine here, the governor of Maine?
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it, because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply, because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state, good, I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor, because I don't think you'll be in elected politics.
I'll see you in court. A tense moment at the White House earlier. That was President Trump sparring with Maine Governor Janet Mills over Trump's executive order banning transgendered athletes from participating in women's sports. In a statement, Governor Mills later said, quote, "If the president attempts to unilaterally deprive Maine school children of the benefit of federal funding, my administration and the Attorney General will take all appropriate and necessary legal action to restore that funding and the academic opportunity it provides. The state of Maine will not be intimidated by the president's threats."
I love it. This is how, if you want to cripple Donald Trump, because he's a paper tiger, what you have to do is watch what the Mexican president did. She put him in his place. And you notice how quickly he backed down. He comes and he talks about what he put in military stuff on the bay. All of that was going to be done. He backed down. Donald Trump is a paper tiger. And if you front him, he withers like a weed. Now, his MAGA base is what people fear. But what they don't understand is if you make the weed wither, the MAGA base as well will wither, because they think he's a real tiger. When they see that he's but a paper tiger, they will understand that the protection that they had, that they thought that they had, is not really there. Stand up, people. Stand up. We're being led by a whole bunch of weaklings who can only bully until one forces their hands. Stand up. Exactly. You have got to stand up. And you remember this hit me because it came in my TikTok today. And as I was advised by one of our cherished leaders here in the PDR posse, we want to get a little bit more visual with what's online. And to show that I took it to heart, I won't call her name. I won't call Bridge MCP's name. But I have something good for you. You remember how we had some of the Latinos thinking that Trump was their friends? I want to play this one here for you. First of all, it's not the majority of Latinos, okay? Because there are a lot of Latinos who are not referenced as Latinos that are Latinos. But that's another story that we have within the Latino culture that we speak about. But I want you guys to check this out.
And I vote for Mr. Trump. We vote for Mr. Trump. Yes, Mr. Trump. We love you.
A few moments later.
Beyond betrayed. They used us. They actually, during the campaign, and I don't want to make this political, but during the campaign, the elected officials from the Republican Party, they actually told us that he was not going to touch the documented people.
I'm Hispanic and I vote for Mr. Trump.
Okay, so we vote for Mr. Trump. We vote for Mr. Trump, right? Because Mr. Trump is somebody we can trust. Really? Look, folks, and that woman, she's Latina. But let's be clear here, okay? That can be said for all those brothers and sisters in Appalachia who voted for Trump that are now out of a job. That is for all our brothers and sisters in the Midwest who voted for Trump because he was going to immediately lower their prices on eggs. That goes for all those brothers that thought he cared about them, whereas not one of them made it into the inner circles of his cabinet, except for, guess what? Housing, I think. Let me tell you something, guys. Donald Trump has proven over and again that he's a liar, his words mean nothing. And we still have those who embrace him. I can't help those. I can't help it there. Anyway, we got Joe says, "Oh no, my heart breaks for that woman. And I have so much anger towards them too. It's very tough." My heart doesn't break for this woman because let me tell you, there is a there is a there is in the Latino communities, right? And I'm talking about over in where I'm from, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Venezuela, Peru, Argentina, specifically in Argentina. People would like to over here in the United States would like to group Latinos together, but that's not the story in Latino land in all these Latino countries. There's still this stuff called white adjacency. Okay, and they don't like to talk about it because when you fill out forms in Central America or South America, you don't put race on the card because we don't believe in race in Latin America, right? But still, yet the people who run the businesses in Panama, the Tagaropoulos and all these other guys, they're what we call rabiblancos, right? They look just like any white American in Panama who runs the system. But the community in general is very mixed, etc. But somehow the power structure, and again, America has a lot to do with this in the way they apportion grants to these countries and the way they control these countries. It really has a matter. So when Joe says, "Oh, I don't feel for harm," like, look, let me tell you something. In the Mexican culture, right? There's this stuff where if you are involved with a white person, meaning if your daughter is with a white man or your son is a white woman, the parents in a lot of the culture would say, "Se está mejorando la raza." You're improving the race. That's a common phrase in many folks in Mexico. Okay, or if you're with a black person or a morenito, a very indigenous dark person, they would make comments like "se casó con la selva." They've met the jungle or they've married the jungle. So don't be fooled. There's nothing called Latino. And for all those people that are thinking, well, and I'm talking to my white brothers and sisters now who fear the Latino groups are growing. The proximity to race simply says that if Latinos, meaning the ones that are fair-skinned, or Latinos that are really from La España, Spain, they will assimilate quickly, and then you get a lot of the results that you're seeing here. It's called proximity to whiteness. And of course, there's nothing called whiteness in reality, right? It's a white supremacist structure meant to keep all people down. And I say all, I mean white people, black people, and everybody else but a plutocracy. White supremacy hurts black people, Latinos, white people. White supremacy hurts everybody. And that's why I come and I preach and I speak to everybody and I love on everybody and I give, because this is just a tool to rip all of us off. It's just a tool to rip all of us off. We create gradations and then we rip everybody off. So, folks, I hope you're learning this stuff and understanding how this stuff works. All right, Brother Radnin has something else for the screen. Let's see what we got here. Para ver. Let me put it on the screen here for Brother Radnin, and then I'm going to read it from Midas. Okay, it goes like this. Daryl Owens. It is very obvious that a lot of Trump voters just like him personally and then imagined up his policies afterwards to justify why. Every other clip is Trump voters explaining why Trump won't do what he says he'll do. Latino Trump voter believes Trump will not deport family-oriented Latinos since that would be unfair. Again, all of that falls into that proximity to whiteness. All of that falls under there. Bridge MCP says, unless you're a white man. I'm not sure which one you're responding to there, Bridge, but I hear you. Joanna says, my Las Cruces mestizo relatives call themselves white. I understand. They look down at darker people. Exactly, Joe. And, again, Latinos know it. Latinos know about colorization. Latinos know about all of it. It's not spoken about because in America, it is easy to just bunch all of them up together because for practical purposes, when they needed to separate Latinos from a group of folks from white people, they could group all Latinos together. The split is starting to occur where you split the Latino population so that you can get enough white maintenance. It's all race used as a tool. We fight among each other for ridiculousness, right? And we shouldn't. We should just love on each other, man. It makes no sense. The split that you see in the Latino voting came from the colorization that has always been in the Latino community. The Latino community was only a fused community when the masters said, we keeping them as Latinos, all together bunched up as Latinos. Latinos always had those issues within the Latino community. And when they needed to separate that as the other communities grow, they knew they could go and pick out the particular Latinos that they want. The problem is some Latinos got fooled and forgot the reality that has always occurred within the Latino community proper. And it came back and bite them. And that's why you see my indigenous Venezuelan out there saying, we for Trump, we for Trump, we for Trump. And then Trump says, I'm sending back all these damn Venezuelans now because, I can. All right. Bridge MCP say, on those forms to check race, I have always checked other and wrote in human race. I love you, Bridge. That's why that is what, if more white people would do that on all these forms, the magic that would occur would be magical. Lee the Bearcat says, why can't people move to the middle from all sides until will never happen until then? It's not about moving to the middle, Lee. And this is what I want to tell people. I will never move to the middle, ever. I only move on policies. Now, if there's a policy considered the middle that works, that's the policy I go for. If there's a right-wing policy that works, I will go for the right-wing policy. If the left-wing policy works, I will do the left-wing thing. That's what it's all about. The problem is all the policies that are functional and work right now are policies on the left of center or the very left of center. Medicare for all, considered left of center, it's the only thing that makes economic sense. All right. Green energy, very much left of center. It's the only thing that makes sense. All the policies that make sense right now are on the left because either the right has ceded some of the policies that they used to want support, like civil rights. Civil rights used to be a thing that many would consider a Republican thing, right? They've ceded that. So that's what I'm saying, Brother Lee the Bearcat. It's not about left, right, and the middle. For me, it's about policy. And it turns out that what the left has adopted right now are all these policies that make sense. That's what it's all about. All right, I got one more video to show. And let's go ahead and get started with it. And then we'll take it on the other side, brothers and sisters. It is clear to me that Elon Musk is mentally ill. It's clear to me that he has no sense of empathy, feelings, or anything else. I mean, when you go to CPAC with talking about cutting government, and in cutting government, what you're doing is laying off people. And in the back of your head, you'd never think about all these people that are being laid off, anywhere between 50 to 200,000, however they get there, that each one of those people have families, daughters, mothers, friends. Each one of those people are caretakers. Each one of those people subsidize restaurants and grocery stores and all these other things that makes a community. And all you can think about is making a presence with a chainsaw, making a caricature of himself and what he's doing to people, people's lives, real people's lives, harming people, not because he has to, but because he can. I want you to listen to this because not only is he doing this cut. But I think what he's doing in harming the government may speed up the power that the right will lose with Americans in general. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Thousands more government workers will be laid off after a federal judge on Thursday denied a bid by unions to stop the firings, clearing the way for President Trump and Elon Musk to continue shrinking the federal government. That plan includes cuts of up to 4,500 workers at the Department of Housing and Urban Development, more than 200 layoffs at TSA, and more than 6,000 at the IRS, right in the middle of tax season. Now, yesterday, at a conservative conference outside Washington, Elon Musk said he's going to push ahead with more cuts and wielded what the area called a chainsaw for bureaucracy.
Waste is pretty much everywhere. People ask, like, how can you find waste in DC? I'm like, look, it's like being in a room, and this target, the wall, the roofs, and the floor are all targets. So it's like, you're going to close your eyes and go shoot in any direction. you can't miss.
By the way, that chainsaw that you see there was a gift from the gentleman that you see holding it, the president of Argentina, Javier Milei, who used that chainsaw in his campaign for the presidency as a symbol of his push to cut the size of government in Argentina. But there is major blowback to the cuts from some voters here at home, including at a town hall in Georgia with Republican Congressman Rich McCormick.
Will you make sure hungry kids get fed and 5-year-olds aren't picking berries? Or are you going to...
I take education very seriously. I think AI can be transformative.
We're just school lunches.
Why is this being jammed down the pipe so rushed and sloppily?
So
use a scalpel.
I understand is when you say you have this many employees that you have to cut, that organization decides who they're going to cut. Now they may
It's clear from all the writings of our founding fathers that our great republic was never meant to be ruled by a dictator nor a king.
And, you know, today, more cuts could be in the works for the U.S. Postal Service. The Washington Post, citing 6 people familiar with the plans, is reporting that President Trump is expected to take control of the USPS and fire its board.
Again, Elon Musk is a psychopath. And this psychopath, who has no possibility of having empathy or care for anyone, is making sure that all those representatives that you find around the country whose districts will inevitably be harmed by the loss of jobs, not specific only to the federal government that they work for, but all the restaurants and all the shopping and all the car sales, all these things that are going to be harmed by these layoffs. I mean, what losing 200,000 people in an economy does is humongous, especially the way it is. DC will get harmed real bad. Alabama universities, all these areas are going to be harmed. But you know what gets harmed in the long run? We lose our edge, our research edge, the edge of creating new products, as a lot of these people start to get opportunities overseas. You know, the talent is still there. The job may not be there because Donald Trump and Elon Musk is too inept to understand what it looks like. But other countries are going to see that and open their arms and say, welcome. Welcome scientists, welcome researchers, welcome Americans who are hardest working people on the planet. Welcome to our country. You know, many African countries have already opened the door, and a lot of others are going to open the door to say, welcome. While you're trying to kick people out of your country, we welcome you. But here's the thing. In a country where the birth rate is declining, everything that Musk's doing is anathema to the family structure that makes it plausible for folks to have kids or for folks to want to have kids. So he's destroying the government, he's destroying the family, he's destroying the economy. Yes, he's doing all of that. Now, here is a put up by El Señor Rudnin. The GOP, Southern Gent 49 says, courtesy of Michael Rudnin. The GOP playbook, tell you the government doesn't work. Number 2, break government so it can't work. Number 3, tell taxpayers, see, told you government doesn't work. 4, privatize it so the donor class can reap the benefits. 5, wash, rinse, and repeat. That's exactly what they're doing. That's what they're trying to do. Break government, bring the private sector into government. And as you bring the private sector into government, you fleece Americans. Because again, when it comes to public services, and I want folks to listen to this well, when it comes to public services, profit is actually an expense. Hear me clearly. When it comes to the public sector, profit is an expense. If you have a bus that normally takes people for your a bus transportation system, if you are going to make that private company has to have CEOs and advertising and all these other things that they need to manage that. And then the shareholders of that bus company, they have to be paid. It's called their dividend. All of those things that would normally go right back into the transportation service if it's done by the public works goes to somebody's private hands. It is never more efficient for government to control transportation systems. It is never more efficient, or rather, I'm sorry, it is never more efficient for the private sector to control transportation systems, and that has been proven all over the world. It is never more efficient for the private sector to take care of your healthcare. That's been proven all over the world. It is never more efficient for private sector to handle things like energy, etc. It is the biggest fallacy that's been indoctrinated into our mindset. And that is such a hard thing to break because we just continue to have the pressures of any time somebody tries to wake up Americans on the realities. They're shut down, they're murdered, or whatever they have to do to hold them back from telling the truth. But if enough of us know the truth, we then don't have to do anything thereafter. On my earlier comment, I didn't mention music. I can't play at all, but I love it. Oh, I play my guitar, my bass, my tuba, my keyboards. I love music. And you know what? I'm a poor reader of music, but I can play several instruments by ear, not by reading. All right, let's see. Hand Zupinks 420. I don't think I've ever seen you here before. What is the city and state you're from? Anyway, he says the Republican Party is filled with Confederates and Nazis, natural enemies of democracy. It's not rocket science as to why they are and they do what they do. I don't think anybody could possibly disagree with that. Michael René says the profits derived from private capital out of a public good necessitates that private capital can never be more efficient. And that's especially double true if they're greedy. And that's what I'm saying. It's math. For anybody to think that the private sector is more efficient than the public sector for these services, look, put it this way. Let me put it bluntly. The private sector, because it extracts money from the service flow, could never be more profitable than government, but government is not something we want controlling everything. Put it this way. If government made all your clothes, if government made everything, right? We could think about it. Government could be considered the primary investor. And that primary investor, have a whole bunch of companies that are working fairly autonomously. That is actually called communism, right? Not even socialism. If the government owns everything and just have people. That's communism. I don't think that. I don't like that. Not because of efficiency. I don't like that because of a certain degree of freedom, right? I want to be able to go out there and do whatever the hell I want to do, and I can do that in another form of government that doesn't require. But what I also want is I want a system where your basic needs are taken care of, healthcare taken care of. We all pay for it, but it's taken care of. It doesn't bankrupt you because that is a commonality we have between all people. We get sick, we die, we get injured, we get into accidents. That is something that happens to all of us, and or the potentially can happen to all of us. So we shouldn't leave bad luck to determine your economic outcome or your complete economic outcome. And that's why I believe in socialized medicine. The same I believe for energy. You need you didn't put the in the ground, just pulling the stuff out of the ground was all that stuff was put by somebody else there. Now, as far as recovering the money, if you create a technique, yeah, let you recover your investment. But the fact that people like to believe that somehow it's magical, that high profits is what makes innovation, is completely and provably false. Given that most of the people that innovate are on salaries, not making profits, they're on salaries. So how can you claim that big profits are what create innovation when the innovators are the people who are on salaries? It makes no sense. And you guys are consistently told that lie. And many continuously believe that lie. And that's what it is, a lie. Big profits are not required for innovation. In fact, most of our innovation in medicine and other areas are socialized. They come from our investment, our governmental investment in colleges, universities, and grants to private sectors. And after those things have been realized, the partial success have been realized, then and only then is the private sector going to come in, because the private sector don't take a lot of risks at all. They don't take a lot of risk. We got to educate ourselves, and we have to be open to think outside the box that they've locked us in, outside of the racial box, outside of the sexist box, outside of all these. We got to get out of it. All right, I don't have any more to talk about today, so you can give me a call for a minute or so at 281-823-7747. Again, that number is 281-823-7747. If you have something that you want to add, something that you want to say before I shut this baby down. But while I wait for anybody who may want to call, whether you call or not, it's okay. I want to go ahead and ask folks to become supporters of our program. And how do you do that? If you are on YouTube, guess what? Just click join. 99 cents, $2.99, $4.09, any one of those, right? You can support us for as little as 99 cents. So click that join button on YouTube. But what we would like most people to do who have the wherewithal to do so is to become subscribers of our newsletter, politicsandright.com/newsletter, politicsandright.com/newsletter. That affords you the ability to read every single one of our books. These are all the books that I've written, all very important books. As I see it, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. Learn a lot about economics. It's worth it, how to talk to your right-wing relative friends and neighbors. And how to make America utopia, take away the economy from those who rigged it. And of course, my story, if you've ever interested, who's that dude that's talking all that stuff? Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean man. I guarantee you all of these books are worth reading. And you can all read it by becoming subscribers at politicsandright.com/newsletter. But again, many ways to support us, many ways to support us. If you want a hard copy of the book, you can just go to politicsdoneright.com/books and pick up a copy. All right, I got to get out of here. I want to tell you all, thank you for being here. Love you all. Please come back on Monday. I don't know. I may do a Substack live over the weekend. I'm not sure yet. But come back. So please support us. We do good work. We write a lot to make sure that the progressive message gets into the ethos to make sure that we get the job done. Anyway, love you all. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right. Have a great weekend. And you know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willis. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willis. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.